What's up you guys, Hero276 here, and welcome to today's video, and welcome back to my channel. Today we've got an interesting video for you featuring GALARIAN SLOWBRO, Lapras, and Dewgong. So, we pick up a not so great lead into Haunter, we're going to safe switch into Dewgong, and my opponent responds with a Waterfall Gyarados. This isn't a great matchup for Waterfall Gyarados. This tends to favor Dewgong. Not only is Dewgong hitting for neutral while Gyarados is hitting for resisted damage, but we're also continuously debuffing our opponent. So my opponent goes for Crunch right there, but as you can see, it doesn't do a ton of damage. Dewgong is very tanky, and we also hit our opponent with an Icy Wind. This is just an Aqua Tail right here. We don't need to shield it. We farm down without having to expend a shield, and in comes Haunter to take two Icy Winds to the face. Icy Wind number one gets the shield. My opponent's going to throw a move here, but I actually want to shield because I want to get off this damage. This will definitely debuff my opponent, but whether or not it gets a shield is the question. And my opponent does decide to give up their second shield. So we're just going to look to try and do as much damage with the Ice Shards as possible. But my opponent actually throws a move because of the threat of another Icy Wind. So we're just going to come in with Lapras and look to farm all the way down. My opponent reaches a move at the last second, but we really don't need to shield this. Sludge Bomb won't do a ton of damage, and it's a Nidoqueen in the back, and this is game. Lapras eats Nidoqueen for breakfast. Surf is going to do a ton of damage, and we're just going to look to farm all the way down. My opponent does get to a Poison Fang right here, so I am going to shield just so that way we can leave with the Surf for the Haunter. And at this point, Haunter is going to get taken out by the Surf. So that's going to be a good game to my opponent. Very well played. Surf KOs the Haunter. Let's hop right into the next match. Hopping into game number 2, and we got ourselves a lead against Nidoqueen. This isn't too bad, but I have two better responses in the back. One of them being Lapras, and we lure out a Venusaur. This isn't half bad for us. We're still dealing super effective with the Ice Shards despite taking super effective in return. This is a flippable matchup for me, so if I want to, I can invest a shield, but I'm just going to let the Lapras go down. I'd rather the energy on GALARIAN SLOWBRO, so that way I can hit Nidoqueen for a super effective Psychic. We should outpace, and even if we don't outpace, I win CMP over the Nidoqueen, so we're going to go straight for the Psychic. Does it land? It actually gets a shield right there, so my opponent does respect it. And I'm actually going to call the first Poison Fang right here, and it is just a Poison Fang, which is resisted. So that's a very nice call on my part. I'm looking to build up to the next one, but I'm not able to reach the next Psychic in time. I'm going to shield, and it is just a Poison Fang, so that's unfortunate. I'm actually going to swap into Dewgong and hold on to the energy on GALARIAN SLOWBRO. So we're going to get hit with the Poison Fang here, unfortunately, but the Nidoqueen is staying in, which leads me to believe that something else is weak to Dewgong in the back. I'm going for the Icy Wind. My opponent shields it, and at this point, I have to start preserving health on this Dewgong. This should be a Poison Fang here, but I am going to shield it just to preserve a little bit of health, and it's a Alolan Golem in the back, and that's unfortunate. So, weak to Dewgong technically because of the water, but Water Pulse does not do nearly enough damage to take it out. And unfortunately, my only win con is to farm down, but I'm unable to do so in time, and this move will take me out. So good game to my opponent. Nicely played. Let's hop into the next match. Alright, here in this game, we got a lead up against a Alolan Marowak. This is absolutely terrible. We're going to safe switch into Lapras, and we bait out yet another Venusaur. Once again, this is a flippable matchup, and I actually sneak an Ice Shard through, so this time I will commit shields. I'm just going to go straight Surf here. No need to go Skull Bash. My opponent is likely going to shield if they want to keep switch advantage, so it's good to go for the lower energy move. And at this point, I should be able to Ice Shard all the way down, and it looks like we're going to do just that. Shielding once, and the Ice Shard will KO after we shield. Alolan Marowak decides to come back in, but it's not going to appreciate the damage output from these Surfs. Surf number 1 gets the shield, and Surf number 2 is going to land for big damage. Let's see it. Boom! Nice damage onto the Alolan Marowak right there, and in the back is the Shadow Kanto Muck. And at this point, this game should be over. We will be taking super effective damage from the Dark Pulse, however, so we need to watch out for that. But can we reach the Psychic? We do reach the Psychic on 1 HP in a Dream. Galarian SLOWBRO taking out the Kanto Muck. And at this point, this should be game. All I have to do is tap the Surf. Oh wait, the game still sucks at under tapping. So unfortunately, we're going to go down here, and this is actually a little bit of a problem. Dewgong is my weaker response to Alolan Marowak. And the only reason for that is because we're hitting with resisted moves. And Water Pulse is just genuinely a weaker move than Surf is. However, Dewgong is healthy enough to survive the Shadow Ball, and Alolan Marowak is low enough where an Icy Wind would KO. So that's going to be a good game to my opponent. Very well played. Let's hop into the next match. Hopping into game number 4, and we got a Nidoqueen lead. This isn't terrible. We're going to play this out a little bit differently, actually. I'm going to build up on energy and leave with a charge move. They're going straight Poison Fang here, and I do not need to shield this. So I'm going to let that come through. If they throw another Poison Fang, I'm going to save the energy and come in with Lapras. This way, if they want to debuff me with Poison Fang, they're going to have to take 4 Ice Shards right here. And Ice Shards are super effective. So they are going to debuff me. After this, they should be energy dry, and Poliwrath comes in. So I was going to say we'll leave with the charge move ready for whatever comes in, but Surf would be resisted. So we hold on to that energy and throw the Skull Bash. Now, Skull Bash is neutral, but it's also non-stab and doesn't hit very hard, as you can see. Dynamic Punch, one-shots Lapras. Galarian SLOWBRO is going to come in and look to throw the Sludge Bomb. This should do some nice damage to the Poliwrath, and it actually takes it out right there, so that's very nice. And in the back is a Alolan Sandslash, and this is tough. Alolan Sandslash basically beats my whole team, but this actually isn't too bad, because they're not running Powder Snow or Shadow Claw. They're running Metal Claw and Blizzard. You'll love to see the spice there on my opponent, but it actually makes this matchup somewhat easier for me, because Metal Claw is such a poor move. And then they come back in with Nidoqueen, and this is going to give me the opportunity to farm all the way down and debuff that Alolan Sandslash in the back. So we farm down, and we're just going to go straight Icy Wind here, looking to get a shield, but definitely get a debuff here. We do get the shield, that is very nice, and we're just going to build up to that Water Pulse. We get to the Water Pulse, and this will be doing some nice damage to that Alolan Sandslash. And then we have the move stored on Galarian SLOWBRO as well. So a nice little combo play there to take the good game. Very well played to my opponent. Let's hop right into the next one. Hopping into the next match, and we got a lead up against Kanto Raichu. Now, Kanto Raichu is an electric type, which does beat my back line. So I have to stay in here and look to eradicate this thing before it can even touch my back line. So Kanto Raichu goes for the Thunder Punch. I'm okay with shielding that. But then we get met with some lag, and this is bad. Now they're attacking me, and as you can see, the game is just working absolutely beautiful today. Sludge Bomb gets my opponent's first shield, and now I'm just going to come in with Dewgong. The great thing about this matchup is they're running Extra Sensory, so not only are they not generating energy as quickly, but Bullet Seed's super effective, and Extra Sensory is neutral. So, we're going to go straight for the Icy Wind right here, looking to get a shield, and we do. And now the goal is just to Ice Shard all the way down. My opponent does get to another move, so I am going to shield it to preserve the energy. Psychic, that's fine. What's not so fine is that my opponent makes a brilliant heads-up play and snipes with Kanto Raichu. What a nice play. So now I'm going to come in with Galarian SLOWBRO and look to Poison Jab all the way down. But my opponent makes a huge mistake, and they come in with Nidoqueen. And this just got bad for my opponent. So, my opponent Poison Fangs me. We have hard alignment here. I'm going to throw just before they get to their next Poison Fang. So that way we're only debuffed one time. Surf KOs. My opponent overtaps. And I'm able to reach the Surf before they get to their move. Surf will KO. And that's a good game to my opponent. Very well played. Let's hop into the next match. Hopping into the next match, and we got a matchup up against Alolan Marowak. This is not very good, so we're going to save switch into Lapras, and we're going to bait out a Hisuian Electrode. Now, Hisuian Electrode isn't bad to bait out. We're both delivering super effective to each other, and this also tells me they really don't have a great response to Lapras. Now, Hisuian Electrode hits very hard, so I'm going to shield once before going straight for the Skull Bash, and my opponent decides to shield as well. Now, if I want to, I really could shield and farm down, but I don't feel like giving up both shields, so I'm actually just going to let this go, and unfortunately Wild Charge does take me out. I'm going to come in with Dugong, and then my opponent comes in with Waterfall Gyarados, and this is still very positive for Dugong, because at this rate, I can just go straight Icy Wind, and my opponent is going to elect to no shield, so now I can just look to farm all the way down. I sneak an Ice Shard through, which is very nice. I can survive any one of Gyarados' moves. It's the Crunch. It doesn't do much damage. And now Alolan Marowak comes in, and I'm going to come in with Galarian Slowbro just to soak the damage. This is probably either Shadow Bone or Shadow Ball. In this case, this is a Shadow Ball Alolan Marowak. So I'm just going to go straight for the Icy Wind here, hoping for a shield. And we don't get a shield, which is very unfortunate. I'm going to go for Water Pulse now, and hopefully my opponent doesn't shield this. Do they shield? They don't shield, and Water Pulse takes them out. And now, Dugong can safely farm down the Gyarados, and that's going to be a good game to my opponent. Very well played. Let's hop into the next match. Hopping into the next game, we got a lead up against Hypno. This isn't too great, so we're going to safe switch into Dugong, which is technically the better of my responses. Now my opponent is staying in, which tells me that an Ice-Water type isn't really something that this team can handle well, and this gives me hope that Lapras can close in the back. Now, Hypno is going to throw a move, and it is a debuffed Shadow Ball, which as you can see, doesn't do a lot of damage. We're going to go for a second Icy Wind here, and look to debuff the Hypno further, and we actually get a shield. Now my opponent eventually safe switches into Clefable, but before they can charm us down, we get off another Icy Wind. And at this rate, we are going to get charmed down, so we will not be able to reach another Icy Wind in time, but now I can bring in Galarian Slowbro and farm all the way down. Galarian Slowbro poison jabs down the Clefable, and an Alolan Marowak enters the playing field. I'm going to bank a ton of energy and then come in with Lapras, and Alolan Marowak will not appreciate the damage output from these serves. I'm going to elect to shield to preserve some health on the Lapras since I know that Galarian Slowbro has no play, and then I'm going to go for a Surf. Surf should be getting the final shield, and then Hypno comes in, and I'm just going to commit all the way to the Ice Shard down. We should be able to do it and only have to sponge one move, especially if they go for the Shadow Ball, which they do, and then I'm just going to Ice Shard all the way down. Now Lapras has two Surfs. I'm going to throw the first one to do some chip damage to the Alolan Marowak. And then for some style points, I'm going to come in with the Galarian Slowbro and look to throw a Psychic. And this will be a good game to my opponent. Very well played. And let's hop into the next game. Hopping into the next match, and we got Galarian Slowbro up against yet another Hypno. Like before, I'm going to just safe switch into Dugong, and we get a ton of lag. Now, we get hit with a weak connection, and my opponent safe switches into Magneton. We reach the Icy Wind first, but the game denies us the opportunity to throw it, and they give my opponent a free discharge. I am forced to commit a shield, as I want to shield moves that don't do a lot of damage, especially after Icy Winds, so I'm going to elect to shield the first discharge, and my opponent actually shields my Icy Wind. We reach yet another Icy Wind, and this will be doing some nice damage to that Magneton. Even though it's resisted, it still does a lot. Discharge isn't going to do a ton of damage to me after the debuff, and at this point, I'm just going to look to Ice Shard all the way down. I'm fine with giving up two shields, especially after the lag, since I know it's not really my fault that the game is not working. And I'm actually going to snipe with Galarian Slowbro, and we're able to poison jab down the Steel type. Hypno comes back in, but we have a ton of energy on Dugong, and we reach the Sludge Bomb on Galarian Slowbro. This will be doing some nice damage to the Hypno, and my opponent gives up their second shield. Now, the Hypno is going to throw a move. It's just a Thunder Punch. We can take it, and my opponent comes in with Machamp. I'm looking to try to get to a move, but this is only 6 counters. This should just be the Cross Chop. And it is just the Cross Chop. We survive, and we're going to be able to reach a move. Sludge Bomb is going to be taking care of the Machamp, and after this, I'm actually going to come in with Dewgong. I have an Icy Wind stored, and they can't reset their debuff. So, Icy Wind is going to be doing some modest damage to the Hypno, and because I debuffed my opponent, I'm able to survive the confusions and reach a second Icy Wind. Dewgong OP, Lapras is going to come in now, and all I have to do is just reach one Surf. At this point, Hypno is double debuffed, Thunder Punch won't be doing any damage, and at this point, the Surf is ready. It's going to take out the Hypno, and that's going to be a good game to my opponent. Very well played. Let's hop into the next match. Hopping into the next match, and we got Galarian Slowbro up against Victreebel. This is very ideal for us. Everything is resisted, and Poison Jabs are dealing neutral damage. I'm just going to look to Poison Jab all the way down, but my opponent tries to catch onto Snorlax. At this point, I'm going to catch in return onto Dewgong. Dewgong is very tanky, so Body Slam will not be doing a ton of damage. And now, we have a ton of energy stored on Galarian Slowbro for the back, and Snorlax's energy dry. This is just another Body Slam, but I am going to elect a shield, as I will be debuffing the Snorlax, and subsequent Body Slams will be doing less and less damage. The first Icy Wind comes through, and it does some nice damage to the Snorlax. We're actually able to reach yet another Icy Wind. This will take out the Snorlax if they decide to let it go through, and the Snorlax goes down. Now, my opponent is going to come in with Shadow Victreebel, and they're able to farm down. I anticipate that my opponent is going to throw their energy, so I come in with Lapras, and sure enough, my opponent does throw. This is assuredly an Acid Spray, so I'm just going to no shield, and Victreebel goes down. And in the back is Alolan Marowak. To reset my debuff, I'm going to come in with Galarian Slowbro, and I'm going to look to throw the Psychic. This should be getting a shield, and now we just need to reach one more Psychic, and this should be getting the final shield. At this point, Lapras just needs to reach 2 Surfs, and we win the game. They actually elect to no-shield the Psychic. I'm just going to build up energy, but we get farmed down. This is bad. Alolan Marowak has a ton of energy. We're going to shield. It's a Shadow Bone. Can we survive another Shadow Bone? Come on, Lapras. You're tanky enough. Please. Shadow Bone does not KO. We are shard down, and that's going to be a good game to my opponent. Very well played. Let's hop into the next one. Hopping into the next game, and we got a huge core breaker as a lead. Alolan Sandslash beats his entire team, especially if they have Shadow Claw. But I safe switch Dewgong, and my opponent safe switches in Pidgeot, and my opponent surrenders. So that's a good game to my opponent. Very well played. We'll take that win when we can. And this is going to be the final battle here, and we're leading up against a huge core breaker for the team in Alolan Sandslash. We're going to safe switch into Dewgong. My opponent stays in for a bit, and finally they come in with Tentacruel. I'm going to throw the Icy Wind to secure the debuff, and I'm going to just keep going straight Icy Wind here. Basically stall out the switch clock. Hopefully I can leave with maybe an Icy Wind or two, and just keep farming up energy. And now that my opponent's double debuffed, I'm not going to throw any more Icy Winds. I'm just going to let this move go through. It's the Acid Spray, and I'm just going to look to keep going and farming up some energy here, and then maybe we'll leave with, a move or two. I am actually going to shield up here because a Hydro Pump would do devastating damage. It is unfortunately an Acid Spray. I bank the energy, and I come back in with Galarian Slowbro. I'm going to no-shield the move, and I correctly no-shield the Acid Spray, which is very nice. At this rate, I'm just going to look to Poison Jab all the way down. Once again, Tentacruel reaches a move, but I'm going to call once again the Acid Spray, and they are going straight Acid Spray here. So I'm just going to look to farm all the way down, and we farm down successfully. Alolan Sandslash returns to the field, but they're going to be hit with the Psychic. Psychic gets the shield, and at this point, we are going to look to just let the Galarian Slowbro go down. I'm suspecting that because my opponent showed me that they are double strong against Ice, that they have one Pokemon in the back that is weak to Ice. So, I'm going to come in with Dewgong and trust in Lapras and Dewgong to close out the match. Alolan Sandslash is farming up a ton of energy, and now they decide to throw. This should just be the Ice Punch, which we survive. We're looking to get to an Icy Wind, bank it, and catch the move onto Lapras, and this should just be another Ice Punch. This won't be doing any damage to us. Lapras is very tanky and doubly resists those ice punches. And as I suspect, they are in fact weak to an ice type in the back, and they have Golbat. Surf gets the final shield, and at this point we can get to one more Surf, but we do lose CMP, so we will have to body a Poison Fang. That's okay. Surf will be doing big damage here, and will be near KOing the Golbat, and this should be at the point where 2 Ice Shards should KO. All we have to do is reach one more Surf, because we do have that Icy Wind stored on Dugong, so I'm going to go for the first Surf. Surf almost KOs. I'm going to combo play, but we lose CMP on the Icy Wind. We're going to shield, and my opponent does surrender, so that's a good game. For what it was worth, this team actually worked very well. I was quite surprised with how well the team synergized, and I look forward to using it again next time Kanto Cup rolls around. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.